Trying to predict the price of any crypto can feel, well, impossible. It's like trying to catch lightning in a bottle. But with Bitcoin Cash, it's a whole other level of puzzle. We're talking massive bull runs, brutal crypto winners, and a huge debate about what crypto is even for. So let's try and piece this thing together.
All right, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll dive into its origins. Think of it as a little family feud with Bitcoin. Then, we'll pop the hood and see what actually makes the price move. After that, we're going to gaze into the expert's very, very cloudy crystal ball, and then look at the wild cards that could change the entire game. And finally, we'll wrap it all up.
So let's start with that family feud I mentioned. You really can't understand Bitcoin Cash without knowing it's basically the rebellious kid of the original Bitcoin, born from a huge disagreement over the future of crypto itself. At the heart of it all was a philosophical split. One camp saw Bitcoin as digital gold, something secure you buy and hold, right? But the other camp wanted digital cash, something fast and cheap you could actually use to, say, buy a coffee. That argument got so big, it literally split the currency in two.
And the result of that split was Bitcoin Cash, or BCH. It launched back in 2017 with a very clear mission: to be that peer-to-peer electronic cash system for everyday people and everyday payments.
And wow, has that mission led to one of the wildest rides in crypto history. I mean, it launched around $240 and then, in just a few months, exploded to over $4,000. Then it crashed all the way down to about $75, only to surge again past $1,600. Its entire story is just pure, unadulterated volatility, a true financial roller coaster.
Okay, so what's actually powering this roller coaster? What are the nuts and bolts under the hood that make the price of Bitcoin Cash swing so wildly?
Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is something called the halving. It's hard-coded right into its DNA. About every 4 years, the reward for mining new blocks of BCH gets sliced in half. This basically slows down the creation of new coins, making the existing ones more scarce. It's classic supply and demand. And the impact, it can be absolutely staggering. Just look at what happened after the 2020 halving. The price of Bitcoin Cash just skyrocketed. We're talking over 550%. So with another halving that just happened in April 2024, you can see why everyone keeps a close eye on this event.
But it's not just the halving. There's this constant tug of war going on. On one side, you have things pushing the price up, like cool tech upgrades and more merchants actually accepting it as payment. But on the other side, you've got things pushing it down, like the old Mt. Gox exchange finally paying people back in Bitcoin Cash, which dumps more supply onto the market. It's a real battle.
Okay, so with all those forces pulling in different directions, we finally get to the big question. What do the so-called experts actually think this stuff is going to be worth? Let's take a peek into their famously cloudy crystal ball.
All right, let's talk 2025. What's the magic number? Well, turns out it really depends on who you're talking to.
The answer is nobody has a clue. Seriously. Just look at this spread for 2025. You have some analysts predicting it could drop to around $145, while others see it climbing close to $1,000. That's not a range, that's a chasm, and it just perfectly captures the huge uncertainty here.
And if you try to look further out, the disagreement just gets wider and wider. By 2030, you've got forecasts saying BCH will be under $100, and others saying it'll be close to $5,000, which would be a brand new all-time high. The further you look, the fuzzier the picture gets.
And if we get really out there and look at 2040, the predictions are just wild. We're talking anywhere from $5,000 to over $100,000. At that point, you're not just making a bet on Bitcoin Cash, you're making a bet on the entire future of the crypto market itself.
Now, all those predictions we just saw, they all assume the basic rules of the game are going to stay the same. But what if they don't? There are some huge external forces out there, total wildcards, that could come in and completely rewrite the script.
And yeah, probably the biggest wild card of them all is government regulation. For a long time, the crypto world has been the Wild West, right? But those days are coming to an end. New rules are on the way, and they are going to define the future for everybody.
You've got two big pieces of legislation to watch: the Genius Act, which is about setting rules for stablecoins, and the Clarity Act, which tries to answer that critical question: is a crypto asset a security or a commodity? The answer to that alone could completely change how everything is bought, sold, and taxed. And of course, any change in the political winds could shift the whole market.
So with all this chaos from the experts and all this uncertainty from the regulators, you can totally understand why one person on Reddit just threw their hands up and asked, does anyone care about price predictions? And you know what? It's a really fair question. Maybe focusing on the exact numbers is missing the point entirely.
So if the price isn't the point, what is? Let's zoom out and put all these pieces together. What are the big takeaways from this whole Bitcoin Cash conundrum?
When you boil it all down, the future of Bitcoin Cash is a giant tug of war. On one end of the rope, you have its core mission, to become digital cash. Pulling against that, you have its own internal mechanics, the complete lack of agreement among experts, and of course, the massive weight of government regulation. All these forces are pulling it in different directions at once.
Which really leaves us with just one final question. Is Bitcoin Cash actually on its way to becoming the future of everyday digital money, finally making good on that original crypto dream? Or is it going to end up as a fascinating footnote in the history books, a reminder of a road not taken? For now, the answer is still being written one transaction at a time.